All right, so let's dive into a kind of parable, a story that's been pulled from a lexicon of some really strange and powerful ideas. This is a tale about what happens when an old world starts to die, and a new one is fighting to be born. It's the story of a grand reckoning, and we're going to unpack it one big idea at a time.
So, at the very heart of this whole thing is one single powerful image, a reckoning. You know, that moment when all the old values, all the comfortable truths you thought you knew are put to the test, and they just don't measure up. This is a story about the end of an age and the really messy, chaotic birth of whatever comes next. And every great upheaval needs a catalyst, right? A spark. In our story, that figure is the jester. He's this trickster who stands completely outside the established order. He's the one who dares to laugh in the face of absolute authority. And that laugh, well, that's the spark that's going to set the whole world on fire. Okay, so to really get the jester's impact, we first have to understand the world he's about to completely shatter. We're heading into the marketplace, a realm that's ruled by a single crushing force. So picture this, a world that's like one massive marketplace, but everything, every idea, every value has been totally standardized. Every single thread has been pulled tight into this one big pattern of conformity. It's a world of quiet, comfortable stagnation, and it's being ruled by a master you can't even see. Now, this master, it's not some king sitting on a throne. It's an invisible force called the spirit of gravity. Its whole job is to burden everyone with weight and guilt. It uses what's called a heavy loom to weave all the rules, all the thou shalts, that keep every single soul anchored to the herd, making them too afraid to be different, too afraid to be light. And that giant tapestry it's weaving, that's called the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age. It's basically the cultural air that everyone breathes. Right now, it's just this fabric of stagnation, a comfy blanket of shared beliefs. But it is destined to become a battlefield, the very ground where the old order is going to clash with a new, much wilder energy. So who lives in this perfectly woven world? He's called the last man. And the last man, he's given up on greatness. He's given up on risk. His ultimate goal is painfully simple: comfort and safety. He just kind of blinks in the sun, happy with his lukewarm life, and he is absolutely terrified of anything that might disturb it, especially the darkness he knows is hiding inside himself. And then, bam, into this world of comfortable numbness, here comes the jester. He comes down from the wild mountains, not with an army, but with laughter. And he leaves behind just one single gift, an obsidian fruit. Think of it like a seed of a psychological virus, planted to start the great unraveling. But here's the thing. If you want to tear down a world, you first have to build a new kind of self. Before the jester could ever challenge the world, he had to first challenge himself. And this is where his journey into the abyss really begins. The jester's path wasn't some external quest. To get the strength he needed to remake the zeitgeist, he first had to turn inward. He had to face all the forgotten, repressed, and frankly terrifying parts of his own mind. This journey is a descent into the self. His trial takes place in what's called the uncanny forest. And no, this isn't a place you can find on a map. It's a psychological landscape. It's the place where your deepest fears and your darkest impulses actually take physical form. It's where the jester has to find a new kind of truth, one that's forged in the fire of confronting himself. And the whole point of this journey is something called shadow integration. The goal isn't to become morally pure by somehow destroying your inner darkness. No. The goal is to achieve wholeness, and that means looking your own capacity for evil right in the eye, admitting it's there, and then integrating it to become a more complete and, honestly, a more powerful person. So, just when you think he's conquered his own inner demons, the jester comes face to face with an even bigger threat. And it's not some monster or some mythical beast. It's something way, way more terrifying. It's the personification of the absolute void, the argument that nothing matters at all. And here he is, the pale cynic. He's the true villain of this story. And he doesn't fight with a sword, he fights with a white lantern. But its light, it doesn't illuminate things, it bleaches them. It strips away all the color, all the value, all the meaning, until there's nothing left but a silent, featureless void. This is the face of pure, absolute nihilism. So this is it, right? The ultimate test. If the pale cynic is right, if there really is no inherent meaning in the universe, if all our values are just stories we tell ourselves, then what's left? How in the world do you fight an enemy who proves that your fight is completely pointless to begin with?
And the jester's answer, it isn't some clever argument. It's an action. Absurd laughter. It's the power to look right into that void, to accept that, hey, maybe there is no objective meaning, and to just joyously affirm your own existence anyway. It is the ultimate act of rebellion, creating your own meaning through the sheer, defiant power of laughter.
So, having survived the void, having literally laughed in its face, the jester is transformed. He's not just a challenger anymore, he's becoming a creator. But to create something new, he needs a new kind of power, and that brings us to the covenant of the two sons. The jester realizes that intellect alone just isn't enough. To actually build a new world, he needs something more raw, more ancient. So he reaches down into the primordial depths of the psyche and calls forth the wild man. And this concept is called atavism, and trust me, it is so important. This is the part of us that is still animal, it's predatory, it's instinctual, it's powerful. It's that visceral root that the last man tried so hard to tame and forget. But for the jester, this isn't something to be repressed. It is the absolute fuel source required for a transhuman ascent. Now here's the crucial part. The jester doesn't conquer the wild man. They form a covenant. They agree to stay as separate sovereigns. You've got the jester, who is the spirit, the vision, and then you have the wild man, who is the instinct, the power. It's a union built on this constant creative tension, the mind and the beast working together, but never ever fully merging into one.
So what's the whole point of this alliance? It's to create the Overman. This is a being who has moved completely beyond the old morality of good and evil. They aren't pushed or pulled by outside rules, they create their own rules. They are a self-rolling wheel, a source of constant self-driven motion and creation. All right, so let's recap. The jester has transformed himself. He's integrated his shadow, stared down the void, and forged an alliance with his primordial self. Now he's ready to turn that power back out onto the world. This is the third and final act, the storm of rewilding. And the Overman lives by a new, incredible commandment. Amor fati, love your fate. Now this isn't some passive acceptance. It's the active will to embrace every single thing that's ever happened to you. Every win, every mistake, every bit of agony. And to recognize that all of it was absolutely necessary to forge you into the creator you are today. And this is where it all kicks off. The jester, who is now an Overman, begins to dance. And his dance starts to dissolve the comfortable walls of the marketplace. That old zeitgeist, that tapestry of conformity, is torn to absolute shreds. This is not a gentle reform, it's a storm, a chaotic rewilding where every single soul is set free from the herd and forced to confront its own power. And this is where the parable leaves us, not with a neat little answer, but with a terrifying and, let's be honest, an exhilarating question. The spirit of gravity might be gone, but the pale cynic, the void, he's always there. In a world with no external rules, the battle isn't against conformity anymore. The battle is eternal, and it's inside each of us. So when the void whispers that nothing matters, how do you prove your own power to create? The storm has begun. And the next chapter? Well, that's yours to write.